Welcome back to Beyond the Court with League One Volleyball, where we deep dive with some of the top coaches and leaders in volleyball and beyond. I'm your host, Courtney Thompson, and we all know that a great coach will challenge you to be the best in all areas of your game, while also helping their athletes to be inspired and motivated in ways that go far beyond the court. Today, we have our first in-studio interview with Jordyn Poulter. She is the best setter from the Tokyo Olympics. She is the team captain of the United States of America, fresh off her second Olympic Games. Jordyn, thank you so much for taking the time today.
I'm so excited to be here in Salt Lake City.
That's right. Your new home, and we'll get into that. But want to start with, you've had quite the whirlwind, and it's crazy that it's only been 11 days since your last Olympic final. You've played in 2 now. Where you're sitting now, like, how are you doing? How have you made sense of everything, and how are you feeling?
You know, to be honest, my body does feel like it was that recent. So it's crazy to think that it was that short of a time ago. I feel like we've all kind of individually been on a whirlwind getting back from Paris and having our own schedules, but nonetheless excited to be back in America and get to celebrate something really cool that we did.
I'm sure you've been asked this a bunch, but like, so freshly off of the games, like, how do you make sense of how y'all did?
I don't know that I have made. I feel like it still hits me in waves of, holy cow, we medaled.
Yeah.
Because I think for a long time we weren't sure that we would. We knew that we always could, but I don't know that any of us completely was sold on this idea that we would be able to make it there. And so for me, just keeps hitting me in waves of. We pushed through some hard and were able to get on the podium and play on the last day.
It felt like kind of leading into the games, like you guys could win a gold medal, you could not make it out of pool play. Even like how the tournament was set up was a lot more challenging than normal. And you know better than anyone, you guys faced a lot of hard personally for you, I think also as a team. Can you just speak to that a little bit and how this was a unique lead up and during the games?
Yeah, wow, this is a multi-pronged answer I could go into here. I think it being a shortened quad is something that the United States of America will never benefit from, I don't think, just because of how much of a revolving door of talent we have. And every quad, it seems like we're trying to figure out on the women's side what our starting lineup will be. Our starting lineup that we went into the Olympics with was not the starting lineup we finished the first match with or ended with. So
I was just going to say every quad or every game. Or, yeah.
Whereas, in Tokyo, when we had the extra year to kind of solidify some things and have a little more role clarity, that really benefited us. So you add that layer on top of some of the health, challenges we faced as a team, kind of across the board. Myself being out for a year and a half, we had some shoulder issues, we had some foot and calf issues, and just some knee stuff. So
just some knee stuff.
It really across the board in every position. Even Lauren during the Olympics, her back, and Micah had to come in, and just various unlucky things, I guess, in terms of timing. We didn't really have a chance to solidify any foundation as a group this summer. And really, every summer that you come in as a kind of a different player. And so the chemistry of the team, changes a little bit. Yeah. Someone could have had the best club season of their life, and someone could have had, not the strongest one they wanted, or been on a weaker team that didn't get to train as vigorously or just get quality training. And so that was some hard we had to push through. We were majority heading in the same direction and trying to move through whatever we were individually and collectively working through in order to, hopefully win some games, which we were able to do.
It is such a gnarly process to try to get right. And what often, I think the national team gym in general is such a unique environment where everyone, for the most part, has either been the best their entire life or very, very good. And then you get in this group where you're getting your ass kicked all the time and you're in all of these hard environments and competing for 12 or 13 spots. And then the minute you make the roster, it's like, okay, now we got to work together.
Right.
And it's challenging. But how is that different from Tokyo to Paris?
kind of like I touched on earlier, just this role clarity it was very kind of clean cut who our starters were and who our game changers were on the bench. And everyone really, I think, bought into that idea of, okay, this is my job and I'm going to do it to the best of my abilities. And it's easy to do that when you have a couple months to sort of prep in that mindset.
Yeah.
Whereas here, we've got multiple people who can do the job and do it well. And we hadn't found that combination really of what 6 on the court would be our strongest. And you know what? It might change against an opponent depending on what's needed in that instance.
Yeah. If you were talking to a club team and trying to help with, you guys call them game changers, that we're going to need everyone, but also it's not easy to come off the bench, and that's okay. How would you frame that for a club team wanting to get this right?
I think the first thing is to acknowledge that if not everyone wanted to be on the court, that's the number one problem. Like, it's okay to have kids that are upset with their role, but then it's like, yes, and, and I think something that we always have access to on the national team is asking what we could do better to get us working towards that, elevated role that we're hoping for. And I don't know. I would encourage club coaches to allow their kids to create that dialogue with them. I think allowing them to understand why decisions are being made, why, I guess even drills and practice are being done, just educates them and gives them some agency into their own experience and their own career.
We have a ton of coaches that listen to this, my mom and maybe a few others. But we want to geek out on volleyball a little bit. Hi, Mom. The China match, just walk us through pool play a little bit and kind of the mentality. And then from the outside, it looked like once you guys made it to the quarterfinals and you had a pretty good matchup with Poland, you guys locked in. Yeah. But I could have that wrong. So what was it like for you?
We went into the China match with Jordyn and Kelsey starting outside for us. And I think that was the idea that they've been our best, ball control players, will keep us in system a lot against a team that has a huge block on the other side of the net. And so if we were able to be kind of evenly distributed in our offense, we would give ourselves a good chance at winning. And I think we had to make a change to get a little more firepower out of that position. And Kat and Avery came in and were able to kind of bring that spark. And not only from a point scoring standpoint, but an actual, I think, emotional standpoint of they literally came in and changed the game. Like, we don't call them game changers just to be fluffy and not call them, subs. It's their job is to come in and change the match. Yeah. And so to see both of them in their first Olympics come in against a team who is one of the best in the world and just put it all out there was, I think, inspiring to see for the rest of us who were on the court. And I think being able to go to 5 with China, gave us that point in the point system for how you break out a pool and what place you are in pool. And it was really important to us to, I think, just ignite the fire of belief. To be honest, this entire quad, we hadn't beaten anyone of stature. And so I think we're still like waiting for that moment of, can we? I don't know. Yeah. I know it's there, but we haven't done anything yet to make us think that it can be done. Yeah. Like I said, kind of at the beginning of the podcast, but we had, a meeting after that match. And I think the overall sense of just like, hey, we can do this. It's not going to be easy. And we're going to be tested really for the rest of this tournament, but we can do this. And so going into the Serbia match kind of with that, like, all right, it's going to be like, we prepped for every match to go 5 mentally. It was like, this isn't going to be easy. And we're ready to take it to the limit, which, again, Serbia, we did go 5 with them, but to pull out that win that night was
that was awesome.
I think that was the first big win of the quad that we were like, okay, we're starting to see it. It's crazy to think that we're just starting to like reach the summit of what we could do as a team that late in the quad. But hey, there's something to be said about peaking at the right time, and the Olympics is one hell of a time to peak. So And then, our last match was against France, who was one of the weaker teams in the field of 12.
Like a little sketchy for a minute.
It did, but you're playing against the home country. They know they're not breaking out of pool. It's their last match. They are throwing everything they have, at us. And again, we went into the late 20s, I think, in some of those sets with them. Yeah. And luckily we pulled it out in 3, but still, it was leaving that match. We had felt like we were battle tested and we were ready for whatever we faced. And I think the Olympics, so much like the NCAA bracket or, even in a club tournament, kind of the draw that you get out of pool play, so much is luck and chance and
matchups.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Some people say you got to beat everyone good to get there, but I think us being able to avoid Italy until that last match was really beneficial for us because,
First of all, being at that France match was unbelievable. And how cool is an athlete to get to end your Olympic Games if you don't get to move on in front of your home fans? And Christina Bauer, she was a captain of France for a long time. She's a love athlete coming here next year, but she was retiring from the national team. And to see that moment, her daughter's there, what a beautiful thing that sports offers.
I know. I think all of us got teary-eyed just watching. That's so cool how important it has been in each of our lives, and to be able to connect with the people of your home country and represent them and represent just, I don't know, something bigger than yourself, and to be honored in that way at the end of it. Just, I can't imagine how cool that was for her.
I know. It says a lot about her and her character. And we're pumped to have her at Love. Going into the Poland match, it looked like something shifted for you. Did it? And how did you feel kind of going into the medal round?
Like you said earlier, it was touched on that there's a good chance we might not make it out of pool play. Yeah. Just the way that our bracket was with Serbia and China it was going to be tough to get the points that we needed to possibly, if we'd gotten swept or lost in 4 to those teams, we probably would have been out in terms of just how the points would have ranked across the other 3 pools. But
God, the margins are so thin.
So thin.
It's wild.
So thin. So I think for us it was cool. We've made it this far, and you know what? It's our time against Poland. We were so close in so many instances the last couple of years to beating them. We also got our asses kicked by them, and it was like, okay, this is our time. We know we had a really good game plan, and we knew it well. Yeah. And I think we were just excited. If we could take care of that, then we'd be in the quarter or the semifinals.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so fun, the urgency that comes.
I mean, when you were playing, how did you guys approach those matches? Break out a pool and you make it to the quarters.
Yeah, it was interesting because you won the program's first gold medal. And yet I was connected with you throughout the tournament and the team a little bit. And you guys had such an kind of we don't know what's about to unfold. There's so much good volleyball within us. We haven't been kind of executing at a high level. So it's there. Whereas I feel like in our quads, I played in London and the Rio Olympics. It was kind of we're the number 1 team in the world. Our expectation is to win and let's go.
Yeah.
And Karsh did a great job. Expectations are the killer of happiness and all these things. And yet I think, I think what was driving us was oh, no, we're going to go get this thing. And we didn't. But in the quarterfinal, I got to start in one of them in London. Berge got hurt. So for me, it was you just kind of, let's get our team a chance, let's get to the next round and then we'll deal with that opponent. And you're just completely locked into that moment. Which is so fun.
Totally. But that's how we felt in Tokyo. It was we had won VNL a million times. We were feeling good. This was ours for the taking.
Yeah.
And so having this experience and it being so opposite of that, of us being I don't know, but let's do it. Let's see.
There was so much duality in that of we have won a gold medal. Yeah. We have been the best in the world and we don't know.
Yes, and.
But yeah, it was, I thought that approach, I was wow, it's so different than how it felt for me or for our team. But did you change anything technically going into the Poland match? Because As an observer, first of all, you played like, because of your injury, like 12 matches in the last year and a half before the Olympics, which is insane to me, and props to you. I know you've talked at great length about coming back, so we won't dive into that. But to me, watching you versus Poland, I was like, okay, we're hitting some magic here. Like, you looked convicted, you were locked in, you looked really aggressive, and like you were running an offense in a level that I hadn't seen. Did it feel that way to you?
Yeah, I think after pool play, there was just one note of, hey, we need to get our pins out a little bit more so we can use the edges to our advantage. And I hadn't set into a catch it in
catch it
since January or February when I was alone in Anaheim. But we whipped the catch its back out for practice, and I just, tried to work on reading off the pass, getting my feet under it, and finishing hard to let the ball sit out there at the pin. And I feel like we got to the Poland match, and I was like, I'm getting him out there.
Yeah. You looked on a mission. I was like, oh, we came to play today.
Yeah.
Got him in a good rhythm. Well, I want to geek out on the Brazil match. Holy cow. I got asked a lot by people there. They were like, oh, do you wish you were playing? Like, how is it for you as a fan? And zero part of me was like, man, I would do anything to be out there. But I do think a lot of it was like, I felt so much peace about that I got to go for it in that arena. And I felt incredibly grateful and like, wow, I squeezed out every ounce of talent that I was given, which wasn't a ton. There was peace in that, but I will say it is so much fun being a fan. And it is so much fun watching people at the highest level just like let it rip. And it's such a beautiful, vulnerable thing that was amazing. So I say all of that because the most fun match that I have witnessed since competing was your match versus Brazil. Holy cow. Like, what stands out to you when you think of that match?
Well, I'll get to that, but I think it was so cool that so many alum were at the Olympics.
Yeah.
Like, for you guys who we had all watched growing up and really ignited a lot of our Olympic dreams or endeavors, for you guys to be in the stands, you, Nicole, Bergie, Jen, Danielle, Kristen,
Narisha,
just there were so many, and it was cool. Just, you could feel the love and the support and the energy and just, the pride for the program, which I don't know. I think that's what we would hope when we eventually retire for the next generation, like also for us to show up in that way and feel like the pride of what each of us went through in this program and kind of how it's shaped us into, what we're doing now or the people that we are, because you really do. You grow up in this environment, you come into it at 21, 22, and you become a human under really rigorous conditions, So I think for you guys to be there was really cool.
I think this is appropriate to share, but I'm just going to go for it. We were in Vegas with the crew of us that had played on the national team. You were there. Some of my generation of athletes were there. And we're at this table. We're playing blackjack. And every time we would lose, it was kind of like this, and in sports, we talk about failure recovery and you had to get on to the next. And we were like, wait, let's be great here. And every time we lose, we'd go, what an honor to be in the arena. What an honor. And it was like, we're being coy about it and having fun. But genuinely, I think from all 7 of us alumni that were there, it was kind of this respect, one, for how you guys show up in this arena, and this very cool shared experience of that we have committed to this program, and some of us, all of us at times, have gotten our ass kicked. And many of us, all of us at times, have gotten these peak moments of like, God, this is fun. And I don't know if there's anything cooler as a human than to go for it and to be in the highs, the lows, and everything in between with people that you love. And it's so hard to find that outside of sport where it's physical, mental, emotional, every day. And if one of those is off, it's like you are getting your ass kicked. You're exposed. And then all of these moments of your teammates going, I got you. I'm right here. And so for us, I do think we felt this sentiment of what an honor that we got to be in that arena, regardless of our experience. Some in the Olympics, some people didn't make it. We didn't win a gold medal, but then we got to watch you guys do that. And it's just a really cool human experience.
Yeah. Well, and knowing that where we are as a program is because of the work and like trial and error that you guys went through.
So much trial and error. Woo! Anyway, all right, let's get back to this Brazil match. What stands out to you when you think of this epic 5-set battle?
The history that we have with that program. I mean,
I don't have any.
I was going to say.
It's tough. Why'd you got to go there? No.
Like, us beating them in the finals of the last Olympics and, us having lost to them in prior Olympics.
Many, yeah.
Just, I don't know, there's so much emotion behind it for both sides.
Yeah.
And I think that was a match. We always match up really well with Brazil. And so it's a match that I don't know that we ever walk into feeling like timid. It's like, all right, we know they're going to bring our best. Let's bring our best and let's see who the better man is today.
That's so fun. It is so fun to be in that.
It's the most freeing thing you can feel as an athlete of, all right, well, we've made it this far. We didn't come this far just to come this far. So that was the energy that it felt like for us of, we can do this. Let's go do it.
Yeah.
Let's go give ourselves a chance to compete on the last day of the Olympics. And
so sick.
God, it was just so fun. It was so fun.
It looked like it. It was fun to watch. It was fun to cheer for. There's a few moments that stood out to me. One, there were just so many good swings. Like on both sides, just people hitting the shit out of the ball. And there were also some knucklehead plays on both sides that felt less characteristic of Brazil than normal. But there was a point in the 4th set where you guys were down, and I believe it was 24-22, and you came in to serve. And it was kind of like, all right, you guys are up 2-1. You're losing in the 4th. Let's get some momentum back going into the 5th. And then you made a little run. But there's nothing more tough than showing up in a moment like that and going for it. And this is probably why Marv Dunphy calls you the toughest player he's ever coached. What were you thinking when you came in to serve? You're down by, was it 2 or 3?
Yeah, I had rotated back to serve. Yeah. I think we're down by 3, 21-24.
Yeah.
And I went back and
painted the sideline. Painted the sideline. Were you aiming there?
I think we were doing our hardest to try to really get the corners and get them in spaces because Gabby was taking up so much court and we were just trying to either get the libero to move or get Ana Cristina to pass. And so to be honest, at that point, it was like, hey, we are probably going to go 5 anyways. So you have nothing to lose other than to try and hit your best serve.
Yeah.
And got one. And we got another good one and very contested play. She was aggressive, hitting an overpass that was, in my opinion, at the plane and should have been fair ball. Yeah. But the call didn't go our way. And so we were going into a 5th set, and I think that we were going into a 5th set really hungry.
You know what stood out to me there is, one, she made this play that, you want them to be aggressive. We didn't get the call. And it would be so easy for an athlete to get in this narrative of oh my God, I just blew it. Mm-hmm. We had, we're going into this gold medal match, blah, blah. And you guys got through that, which is a testament to the culture you have, the work Sue Inquist has done with you guys. And then just also going into that 5th set, we might have had it, But you called the team together before you switched sides, and you also brought them together on the other side. Do you remember what you said? I know that's a specific detail.
Immediately after we had lost that 4th when we were still on that side of the net, I think it was something to the extent of just pumping the belief, being like, there is no reason why we can't take this momentum into the next. They know that we have this. Ooh. Let's go grab it. Yeah. And then on the other side, I think it was a derogatory, just aggression.
Yeah, we'll leave that one to your imagination. Just aggression. What was your offensive strategy going into Brazil? And did you stick to that? Did it shift in the 5th set? How do you approach those kind of moments?
We knew that there would be some heavy help from Gabby. and some mixed help from their right side blockers. But whenever either setter was up there, we liked our matchup of our outsides against their setters for whichever one was in. And Carol gets a little jumpy with our middles. I mean, they've, especially in this tournament, garnered a lot of respect from the opponent. And so we were getting them and getting our pins in really good kind of one-on-one situations or just some late help situations that we really wanted to exploit and take advantage of.
Yeah, they hit with a lot of range.
Yeah.
You got them in a good rhythm there. In the fifth set, what stands out to you? What were you thinking? Like, hey, we're going to give it to the big guns, let them just hit the shit out of the ball.
I think I set Chi late in the fifth. You know,
you did. She painted
the
sideline.
You can just feel it, and you're like, oh, yeah, here you go.
God, that's so fun.
But, yeah, I think late down the stretch, like I said, our pins had been producing the entire match. And I don't know, you just kind of feel the energy and the cadence of the game. I can't say that I'm not a setter who's super meticulous and like I'm going here. Right. It's kind of the energetic flow of what feels good in that moment for me.
It's kind of wild. You're a 2-time Olympic medalist now. Let's go. You've been to.
I want to join the
club. Where we differ. You have a gold medal and a silver. And did this Olympics feel different to you, knowing that you had like been there before? And I say that not leading because it sometimes can be harder, I think. But like, did you get nervous at all ever, or like, how was that kind of side of the conversation for you?
You know what's odd is I did not feel many nerves in this one, and I want to say that that's probably a product of just all of the hard, like grueling, just individual work that I did this past year and a half alone. It was like, this is what you've effing worked for. And so if you're going to show up here anything else than like 100% yourself, ready to be excited about playing in this arena, then you've wasted that year and a half. Yeah. And you've like, all of that hard work would be for nothing if you look back on this and say, oh, I wish I would have, you know? Yeah. And so for me, it felt different in that regard. I don't know that for many of us using the Tokyo Olympics as a prior experience was something that we pulled from because there were fans in the stands. Sure. I mean, legitimately thinking back to how quiet it was in Tokyo to what we played in and how much energy and just how it could sway the cadence of the match was something that I hadn't experienced at the Olympic level for sure. So that was unique in itself.
It's so real, and it's such a unique tournament in so many ways. We haven't even gotten to the gold medal match, but now that we're here, what do most people not know about the Olympics in your experience?
One, this has been said a couple times by many people, but you don't know how hard it is to actually win a medal of any color. Yeah. You know, growing up in the United States, we see so many of our athletes succeed and get the gold. And it's like yeah, of course we do that. Of course we get the gold, you know. But I think the amount of time and effort, especially depending on like the sport, to get to that moment or get to even be on the roster to compete for those moments is, I think, such a longer process than a lot of people know or understand. You know, they think that we just come together every 4 years to do this. Or, you know, I know a lot of people listening to this podcast don't have this, you know, kind of naivety that a lot of others do. But it is amazing to think the level of just ups and downs you go through the quad in order to get to this moment and then try to make sure that your body's good, your mind's good, that all 12, or in this case 13 people are heading in the same direction. I don't know that that's talked about enough just because it looks so quote unquote easy from the outside for a lot of US sports to be successful in their, you know, domain.
It's so real. It's so hard. And I was just thinking like, what an honor to be in the arena of trying. Like there's such a humility of knowing how hard that is. And, you know, having failed a lot, you get good at it. Like, all right, we're going to anchor to gratitude. Kind of like what you said into the tournament. Like, man, I worked so hard to be here damn, I'm going to enjoy it and like express myself in this moment. And you do that. I mean, you do that so well. I'm going to share this. It might be a little vulnerable, but for you, so we can, but I remember one thing that stood out to me was at the Olympics, the highs are so high and your family is also at the tournament for the most part, and cousins and all of these people that you're like, oh, cool. You're coming to the Olympics and it's great, but no other tournament does that happen for us when we compete internationally. Like very rarely, certainly not 15 of your family members. And they're all like, oh my God, we're at the Olympics. So their experience is super heightened. And then they're with, the whole team and we all made it. It's so fun. But the low moments or kind of the mundane moments, it's almost like your dopamine or serotonin, something counters it. And there's kind of this like, oh, now what? I'm like on a Tuesday in the village, like, what am I doing? And I remember feeling that, but I almost forgot. And in the first time that we talked at the Olympics, you were kind of sharing like, yeah, I haven't quite got into this is before games started, but you were like, I don't know. I'm not like feeling how I thought I would feel.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Yeah.
I'm framing.
Yeah. I think, like you said, the highs are so high. And then the moments in between the highs feel like suboptimal to where you normally like find content.
Yeah.
So for me, game days were great. Even before we started playing, just the morning of, like, the routine, the anticipation, all of this, I felt, really connected to that.
Yeah.
And then in the days between when we're going to the HPC and training and just feeling like the simple pleasures in life didn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
And
like
then,
the normal go-tos.
Yeah. And then you feel bad about that. You
Yeah.
feel bad. Like, why aren't I just like grateful that I'm here? Why am I feeling, just all of this kind of inner dialogue of trying to understand and give yourself the space to feel however you are feeling. But then also your mind is like, but why are you feeling this way? And luckily, I have people in my life like you, our sports side, Katie, that I could kind of emote with and be able to sort of move through those instead of sit in them. But they were very real for me.
Yeah.
I had to recharge a lot by being by myself, taking walks and just sitting by myself, because there is so much stimulus. I think that's the biggest difference for a lot of us between Tokyo and this. The stimulus of friends, family, the stimulus of being able to go do things, to leave the village, all of these things, and also play in the matches and be your best. It was just, a really different rhythm than what we had experienced ever in our career. Because also another thing that people don't know is you just feel like you're in a fishbowl of like the anticipation the whole time that you're waiting for the moments. You've also anticipated this whole experience in general. And so it's like you've arrived to the experience, you're in the village, you're in the Olympics. And that's like, oh, but wait.
Yeah.
This
is fun, right?
Right.
We're good, right? Yeah. It's such God, our brains are amazing and also so inconvenient at times. But I think it's cool for like a young athlete to know, I don't know, for nationals or like, it's very similar. This is a weird example, but I think like a wedding. I haven't been married yet, but if you think like, oh, this thing is going to change, it's going to feel like this. And then you're in it and you're like, oh, there's a little dissonance there. So I thought it was cool. I don't know. It was a cool reminder because I remember emoting to my brother, Craig, my oldest brother, during London. And I remember his face like, huh? Like, but we're here, and he helped me through that. But then it was the same thing on this end, like hearing you. And I was like, oh yeah, it's like a big part of it. So I don't know. I just think it's a cool lesson.
Yeah. No, I wrestled with a lot of it because it was also, you're so lucky to be here. Your knees held up and even had a little like hiccup this summer and, you're still here and you're doing this. But I was like, there was a part of me that was like, F that. Yeah, I've worked hard for this. Like, yes, I'm grateful, but I also like, I want to go grab this thing if we can. We're here. We might as well, like there was just there was a large spectrum of feeling things to the extremes.
Speaking of, let's talk about this gold medal match.
Nah.
You guys come off, obviously, this amazing win in the semis. It's so fun when you have that moment of like, we have a chance to fight for gold and like go get this thing. And obviously Italy came out and was insanely good.
Yeah, and they had been good all quad.
Woo!
I mean, legitimately, they've played with the same starting lineup practically for the whole quad. And a lot of them play club together. And like, it was their time.
Yeah.
It was their time. Like it was our time last quad, this was their time. Their country had never won a medal on the women's side in the Olympics, which is nuts. Knowing the history of volleyball in that country, that's nuts. So what an honor to lose to their first gold medal in the Olympics. No. But I think with some time and reflection now, that Brazil match felt like our gold medal match.
Yeah.
Like it felt like when it came to the final, we were sort of playing with house money.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think every team goes into the Olympics trying to win the gold, right? But Italy was the better team, in my opinion, and had been for the whole quad. So it was a matter of they would have to probably be playing some of their worst volleyball, and we would have to be playing some of our cleanest, most seamless volleyball. And unfortunately, that was not the case.
It was incredible.
I mean, there were moments where some of us were looking at each other during the match and just going,
yeah, what's the answer? We're trying everything. And it's so like, it's kind of cringy, those like last 10 points where you're just like, they're like every dig. They're just
pick for slaughter, knowing that you're just.
They're going for it. They're setting amazing out of system, just taking amazing swings. And then like the energy in the stadium, I was like, oh, this is tough. But also, to your point, I feel like what was cool about the semis is that you guys, it was like everything came together. And even then it was like swing for swing and it was close and all of these moments. And gosh, that's what you work for as an athlete.
I think it's also, there's some translation from this experience and what I experienced even in college and on club teams of on paper, we were not the most talented team.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said about getting on the same page and like collectively having some buy-in to one thing or like, a direction and leaning in hard to that, whether things are going good or bad. Because at Illinois, there was no reason we should have been in the Final Four my senior year. And then for this, there were a lot of us, and I'm sure people who watched our team all quad who were shocked that we made it to the last day of playing in the Olympics.
That American spirit. You never know.
I know.
Don't count us down.
It's really cool. I mean, this isn't my quote, but I think it might be Krista Armato's of volleyball being the ultimate team sport. And I agree that once you get the team aspect of that really dialed, it's cool how much you can achieve.
That's so true. And it's probably her quote because she embodied that so much. So far, you've been to 2 Olympics. You have a gold and a silver. What do they both mean to you?
The gold felt so much bigger than just my experience in it. I honestly, playing in Tokyo and being on that team surrounded by those women, it felt like I was just filling a spot and like being like, okay, I know my lane. I'm going to try to do this the best that I can in the best capacity because I want this for you guys. I want this for our program, Yeah. It felt like it was a win for us collectively. Yeah. Those of you who had been in it, Jordyn Poulter, who had experienced a lot of heartache and put in so much. And just, I don't know, it felt like a victory for everyone.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, it felt more earned in a way. The things that we had to move through individually and as a team.
Yeah.
And like I said, to kind of go in with this mindset of we have no idea how this is going to go. But if we can all do our best and try to be good for each other when we're in between the lines, then maybe we might be able to do something. Yeah. And like I said, to be competing on the last day of the Olympics is, I don't know, you can't ask for anything more. So they have equal value, but very different weights, if that makes sense.
Yeah. 2 to 3 months after Tokyo, how was that for you? And then are you doing anything differently this time?
So after Tokyo, all of us were going overseas in like 3 weeks.
Woo-wee. So
it felt like a whirlwind in the sense of we hadn't seen our friends and family for so long because we had to be COVID conscious. Like, not trying, like we could not be positive
right leading
up to the Olympics. So we had to forego hanging out with people, seeing friends and family, doing everything right to try and not catch COVID.
Yeah.
Even at the Olympics, So then getting to see our friends and family in the weeks after we won the gold and just everyone, wanting to celebrate. And it felt like a whirlwind in a fun way. But then there was like this looming having to go overseas just over your head the whole time.
Yeah.
Being like, oh God, I've got to make the most of this time because I'm leaving in like a week.
The countdown begins.
Yeah. And everyone who's played professionally can relate to that, But to be on such the high that we were on, and then I think a lot of us felt that extreme drop off once we went overseas, and just getting back into the cadence of, cool, we did this thing and everyone's moved on, which as you should.
Yeah.
But it was a weird mental shift
Mm-hmm.
because you just went from representing your country at on the highest stage and winning to then, going overseas and, going and playing in a normal league game
Yeah.
on a Sunday. So
It's challenging.
it is.
I felt a sense of blahness for like a long time, and we didn't even win. We after London, when we took silver, it was like I went to Poland, and every practice, every match, I was just like, what am I doing? Like, where's the oomph? And I've lived with so much of that fire, I feel like, and then all of a sudden I like, and kind of what you said in the village, all these things that I would normally do to foster that no longer felt like they were working. It's really confusing.
Yeah.
Are you getting ahead of that this time? Like, how are you approaching it now?
I actually think that being able to like have this next big thing to look forward to, which is playing in America,
Let's go,
is the thing that I'm like stoked on. And so I don't know that I'm like going to feel the dip as extreme, because this is something that I want to do. Not that we don't want to play overseas, but there's a different level of pride that's going to come with this season and getting to be in the inaugural season of the next major pro league in America.
Yeah.
So there's something really cool, and like I can feel the fire of that.
Yeah. Well,
it's also nice that we have like 2.5 months to let our bodies rest.
Amen.
So
intentionally, you guys deserve it, and you need it as a pro athlete. But one, it's new and it's exciting, and you're closer to people that you love, which are typically good things. It's also there's so much purpose in it, and you guys, to your credit, have been the reason there's been so much momentum, and we'll have a great level here at League One Volleyball. And so that makes a lot of sense, and it makes all of us really happy.
It's crazy to think of how many of us on the national team are playing in this league.
I know, 10 of 13.
10 of 13, but then there's people who were in the gym this summer.
Oh yeah, even more. That's right.
It just,
how many great athletes.
It was so cool. Like us roll out before practice, and all of everyone just kind of sharing where they're moving, or where, like, what kind of home they're going to live in the fall, and all these things that it's just so exciting.
So exciting. Is it, there's so many positives to it.
Yeah.
I know there's likely, I don't know, there's something to be said about going overseas, that it's so challenging, but it's also kind of cool in a way that you're like off in the world. Not many people know who you are over there. You kind of evolve and develop as the young adult you want to be.
Totally.
I don't know. Are there challenges you foresee about being home too?
Yeah, I think there's a level of inaccessibility that I felt overseas, and I liked that.
That's the word I was looking for.
I
That's
liked
a good one.
I was like, I'm so far from all of this that like I can keep things at an arm's length,
right?
Because I don't know, I can use the crutch of, I'm on a different time zone. Just operate very much in my own world.
Yeah.
But it's also a very lonely world doing that.
That it is. It can be.
I think about how much growth I went through in my half season post-college. We just finished similar to, honestly, my Tokyo Olympic experience. We went to the Final Four, was great. And then a week and a half later, I went overseas to Italy, and just the dopamine drop off of like, oh, wait, this isn't one. The NCAA allows for a very comfortable environment for athletes, which is how it should be. I'm glad that athletes feel comfortable and feel taken care of. But you go overseas, And I was thrown in a stick shift car, never done stick shift, where I was like crying, trying to drive myself to my apartment and getting cussed out in Italian and just being like, oh my God, I don't think I'm built for this. And then ultimately you figure it out and you learn. And I think when you earn that agency, that's a really cool feeling that I don't know that people will experience in the same way when they play domestically.
I'm curious. I think, because I've also shared in those moments, I think there's something to be said about going from college to professional in a lot of ways, or like moving a city. And most, when you go to college, you have your program, your team, the athletic department, all of these things are like, you're here with us.
Yeah.
And as a pro, I think even here, we hope it feels very community centered. And that's what League One volleyball is like, the essence of it. I don't know, but maybe it's like young adult moving to another city also is like, whoa, this is the first time I've done this.
Totally. I mean, that's how I feel too. This is the first city that I've lived in as an adult, other than, Anaheim or Southern California for the national team. But this feels a little more permanent than that even did. But I agree with you in the sense of having community is what makes things feel good,
Yeah.
And so overseas, you don't feel that initially,
especially if you don't understand.
It's really hard to build it, honestly. And so I'm sure that there's going to be some growing pains for all of us moving to new cities and trying to find that sense of community again. I don't know. It's part of being an adult. Making friends as an adult.
And now when you retire, you're going to still have some. All right. We're going to do some rapid fire.
Ooh.
To close us out here. What does MERP mean?
Yes, MERP. After the China match, we had a lot of plays that we could have done better. And so Karch made sure to show us those examples of those plays where we just kind of let them off the hook or didn't make them work very hard for the point. So he wrote on the whiteboard, make them play. And then he erased the P and said, make them really play. And so we took that and made the acronym MERP.
It's like a great thing to use, but all coaches are like, oh.
Yeah, we kind of were doing it out of like this is kind of funny.
It's pretty funny.
But also, if we can make them play, then we might give ourselves
make them really play. Karch loves a good acronym.
Yes.
All right, who's the best hype woman on the USA team?
We've got a lot of good hype women. Dana was great, a great hype woman.
Okay, let's go, Dana.
This Olympics, Haley's also great, obviously. A lot of energy in that one.
A lot of fire. Quickest way for you to get into a headspace before a match?
I like a good bus ride or car drive to really zone into some music and kind of get moody with it.
Get moody with it. I like it.
I'm going to say get emo with it, but.
Oh, yeah. I know about that. Favorite way to decompress or unwind after a match?
A glass of wine.
Wow. Love this. Red or white? Or rosé?
You know what? It changes.
Great.
A glass of wine and some good conversation.
Tell me you've played in Italy without telling me you've played in Italy. All right. Best advice a coach has ever given you?
If you're going to make a mistake, make it at 100 miles an hour.
Ooh, who said that?
Jim Stone.
Pretty good. All right, Jim, dropping knowledge. What do you hope every youth coach in the country understands?
I hope every youth coach understands that the girls on your team have individual motivations and hopes and dreams and desires for their career and why they are playing club volleyball. And I think if you can understand the nuanced aspects of that for each individual player, you're going to get a lot more out of them and get them to want to be there and work for you and with you.
Jordyn, thank you for joining us today. I know your time is precious. This is your first full week off after the Olympics, so we really appreciate it. For all of you joining us, thank you for another episode of Beyond the Court. Be sure to subscribe below so you don't miss our next episode where we get to interview Trevor Thompson. He is my middle brother. He is a Rhodes Scholar. He graduated #1 in his class at the Naval Academy. He went on to be a Navy SEAL for over 15 years and was part of Dev Group, where they got to bring in some people that were trying to be Navy SEALs and was part of that. So we're going to geek out on a lot of coaching, the human experience, being in really difficult environments, and hear about what he learned. So be sure to subscribe below. And as always, keep working hard, having fun, and go spread the love today. All right, we'll see you next time.